Retro.
Today's show is brought to you by our patrons over at Patreon. Thank you to McCoy, Marjorie, Sir Zeke, Leslie, Brian, Alex, Marie, the Cartoon Gamer, and Christian. If you'd like to become a patron yourself, head on over to patreon.com/Animanicast. You'll not only get bonus audio each and every week, but you'll also get exclusive access to our Creators Commentary series with Tom Ruger. It's where we watch every episode of the classic series and we get, well, commentary and bonus facts and stuff from the creator of the show, Tom Ruger. So head on over to patreon.com/Animanicast today, and thank you to our patrons. And welcome everybody to another episode of the Animanicast.
Oh, Monsanto had a farm, GMO.
Well, once this satellite is in orbit, it shall emit a highly concentrated de Broglie wave of non-relativistic matter particles. Anyone in the path of the matter wave will experience a countervailing quantum mechanical force suspending them in the air until they swear fealty to me.
Brilliant, brain. Brilliant. Yesterday I felt like you were phoning it in, but today's plan, woo, real doozy.
Welcome, everybody, once again to the Animanicast. This is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows in the Rugerverse, such as Pinky and the Brain, Tiny Toon Adventures, and Freakazoid. Today, we're talking about episode 10 of the Animaniacs Reboot. That's right, we're going to be talking about all the cultural references and gags that we can find. And then, of course, in the end, we're going to give this episode of the Animaniacs Reboot a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me, once again, are my co-hosts, my brother Nathan.
It's time for Anima-Nyet.
And across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. Well, we are here for episode 10 of Animaniacs. The end of the first season is in sight. There's only 3 more episodes after this one.
I was like, this is the end of the...
we're getting closer to the end of the first season.
There were times we thought there was 10 episodes. We said it. So,
well, we today we are going to be talking about Anima-Nyet. We're going to be talking about Babysitter's Flub and a Warner's press conference. This is a nice episode, I suppose. But what were some of your thoughts if someone were to ask you in just a few words, how would you, what's this episode all about? What would you tell them, Nathan?
We've got references to Animaniacs, and we've got some songs, and we've got some news.
Sort of. And Kelly, we forgot, we got some babies.
And some babies.
And Kelly, what about you?
Oh, the Russian episode would have been funnier like 2-3 years ago.
That's true. Although Russians, they're still in the news. We just can't shake those Russians.
That's true. It's true. I was just reading something earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just talking about now, like with possible, what this guy just got put in jail for 3 years, who was poisoned. That guy, who I don't even know his name, other than he was a guy who spoke up against Putin. And
Navalny.
That might be it.
Navalny.
I'm going to say yes. Navalny something. He got poisoned, almost died.
One of the doctors died too. That's what I was reading earlier.
And
he
died
at like 55 of a heart attack.
Oh yeah, okay. And then so this guy is so brave, he goes back into Russia. Like, dude. And of course he got arrested. But that's what I call bravery right there. So we are dealing with Russia. The Warners take on Russia in this one. I think before we get into our conversation, though, we gotta talk to Nathan, because of course this episode is in season 1, and season 1 premiered on November 20th of 2020. But we have to get to our November 20th trivia. So Nathan, hit us with the November 20th trivia theme song.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, November 20th.
Wow.
2020.
Oh, 2020. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to cut. I felt like the person who claps too early at a song.
It's yeah, you should have known.
I thought you were about to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I thought it would take too long.
That was the Sesame Street thing. You remember
Yes.
that?
Uh-huh.
See? Another thing.
I forgot how many numbers are before 20. Oh my gosh.
It's a common mistake. Anyway, Nathan, what happened on November 20th at some point?
Oh, so many things happened on this day. So, like in 1959, the Declaration of Rights of the Child is adopted by the United Nations. And, there's children in this episode even. So it's a little...
I wonder if UNICEF was involved in that at all. Because maybe. I know that UNICEF is the whole helping kids out, right? And that's a UN thing. I don't know. Somebody do some more research on that.
I wouldn't put it past them. No, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis ends in response to the Soviet Union agreeing to remove its missiles from Cuba. U.S. President John F. Kennedy ends the quarantine of the Caribbean nation. Well, the Caribbean nation. No, this is the Soviet Union. This is not Russia.
Not Russia. Yeah. Definitely a Soviet Union thing. Okay.
And less thematic, 1985, Microsoft Windows 1.0, the first graphical personal computer operating environment developed by Microsoft, is released on this day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything connecting to
that. I was trying to think of something. I was like, I don't know. News? That's news. There's a news conference. I bet that made the news.
I bet you it did. And it had a news conference. There's your connection. Well, let's go. Before we get into today's segments, we got to mention the variable verse. And we didn't mention last week's.
Yeah, we got fans angry at us.
I know. Well, we had at least one person on Facebook put down the variable verse, and I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot that. The variable verse last week was authority disdainy.
Authority disdainy.
And they drew like a little mustache on Ralph, I think. Right?
Which, that was kind of a cool thing, just similar to the newsreel The Stars.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see them, they're still painting mustaches on people. Today's was, okay. It was may cause eye strainy.
May cause eye strainy.
Which she's really small.
Yeah, she's really small. She's like the screen is in the screen. I was just about, speaking of eye strain, I was just about to get my eye exam today, but then I couldn't because my insurance wasn't taken by the people who did the thing, so I didn't.
They couldn't read it.
They couldn't read it. The
print was too small.
Yeah, so they said, you got to go, Joey. And I was like, oh, man. So, speaking of eye strainy, anyway, let's go ahead. So, anyway, those are the things. Okay? We got to check that off of our list. Hopefully next week we won't forget about that. Well, no promises. Let's go ahead and get to our first segment, and it is called Anima-Nyet. And Anima-Nyet was written by Lucas Crandalls, Timothy Nash, and Wellesley Wild, and it was directed by Scott O'Brien, and also there's a song in this. And the song was written by Lucas Crandalls and Timothy Nash and Wellesley Wild, and the one and only Mr. Randy Rogel. Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Anima-Nyet?
Nyet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I will. So Wakko puts a remote control in a microwave, and do not do this at home, kids. Not good. And I guess he thinks it'll. I think he's trying to think it's going to be like a time machine or something.
And you think that microwaving the remote will give it magical powers, allowing you to travel back and forth through time with the forward and rewind buttons? Uh-huh.
But instead, it brings in foreign TV networks. And so they see, different sports, mundial.
Which I had no idea what mundial meant, by the way.
World, right?
Yeah, of the world or something like that.
Yeah.
I
had to look it up too.
Yeah, I'm not a sports person, so
it's español.
Sí, but I still didn't know what the heck they were talking about. Mundial, like what?
Oh yeah, no, I knew what that was.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know anything about sports either, but I know some Spanish. So anyway,
yo sé un poquito español. Pero no más. We do have at least a few listeners in Mexico, by the way.
Yes.
So hello, hola.
Anyway. Hola, ¿cómo están? Right? Isn't that the way you say it?
For more than one.
Yep. That's y'all's language lesson for today.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, they so they're still surfing the channels and they see the different things, and then there's a Russian channel, and it's actually them. They're freaked out because they see like a really shoddy water tower, and it looks like puppets that look like them, and they're doing the theme song, and instead of Animaniacs, it's Anima-Nyet. The Wakko and Yakko are like so not thrilled with their doppelgangers, and Dot starts teasing them. It's like, oh, what y'all got a problem with that? And then she sees her, the person playing her. He's like this big, tall, buff guy. She's like, oh, that's yuck.
What's the matter, boys? Can't take a little Russian razzin'?
Niet, idiot brothers.
Wait!
Niet. You shame our leader by underestimating reach of mighty Russian Federation.
That's supposed to be me?
Then the TV gets destroyed, and they start talking, and then it's like the Russian versions of themselves are like responding, and they, I think it's Wakko sneezes, and one of them says Gesundheit or whatever. What did they say?
Yeah, they say, he sneezes.
Gesundheit?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, because I think that's German, so...
They might have said bless you.
There's like almost zero Russian in this.
I don't need any Russian, but I know das Vedanya, because of Anastasia.
Yeah, they could have put that in at least. Yeah, there was just Nyet, and like they would say ski at the end of things, like dot ski or something like that.
Yeah, that's not how it works, I don't think. Hey, anyway, so the TV, so they realize that they can respond or see and hear them or whatever, and so then they realize that the TV has been spying on them, or there's a camera inside the TV. When the screen gets broken, and they're like, how do they know all this? And then the intern comes in and fixes up the TV by just putting a board over it, and then goes and to the writer's room, which doesn't look like a writer's room, and he leaves with a stack of scripts. And they're like, now they're like stealing our scripts and spying on us, and we got to go do something about these Russians. So they put themselves in a box and have it mailed to Russia. And then they get to Russia, and it's basically like a studio tour, like Universal Studios tour. There's a woman driving them around and talking about the different shows and things that are being filmed there.
And if you watch Channel Backwards 3, you must know next show, Moron Mouse and the Rasputin.
What do we accomplish tomorrow evening, Rasputin?
Same thing we accomplish all evening, Moron Mouse. Support current leader and ask no question.
And here we are, least but not last, Animaniacs.
They see the Russians are actually being treated horribly. They're threatened and they're scared, and Randy Rogel is shackled to the piano.
Original Animaniacs composer Randy Rogel?
Help me!
And he's sweating because he's so nervous, and it's just terrible working conditions.
But he looks great. I mean, the muscle shirt looks really great on him. He's still staying physically fit in Russia, which is great.
Looks a lot like him.
Yeah, it does, actually.
And so then they do a little song, and then it's a little too happy and peppy, and Putin is like, oh, yeah, you're going to do a little happy song. Nope, I don't think so. And he pushes a button, and then the army comes in, and they're like, who's responsible for this? And the Warners point to the director, and he gets taken away. And then the Warners get on an airplane, and, they're like, oh, it's amazing we got on a plane so fast. And Yakko says something like, yeah, well, I think this one, flies from D.C. to Moscow daily. And then the camera zooms out, and it's Air Force One.
Because of Trump. Yep. But there was an E.T. reference in this. Sort of.
Yes.
The director, you got our Spielberg reference in. The director says that he's responsible for certain, knockoff films, and one of them is E.T. for Elect Trump.
I director of famous Russian movie films, Pulp Fiction, The Devil Reads Pravda, and E.T. Elect Trump.
So,
yes.
This is our first of two, at least.
Those two things don't belong in the same sentence. Leave E.T. alone.
Anyway.
But yeah, there's another Spielberg reference in this episode, too, that we can look forward to.
Ooh.
There is?
Did I miss that one?
I missed it, too, apparently.
Ooh,
I don't feel good, y'all. I was in a car accident the other day. So that's my excuse. And
it's like, yeah.
Okay, well, I can't wait to be reminded about this
I may have seen it, and then I just forgot about it. But
there's always Spielberg references just floating in Kelly's head all the time. So seeing it on TV, I mean, she's seeing them all the time.
It's right at the beginning when it says Steven Spielberg present. No,
Spielberg lives rent free inside my head, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, there's a lot of cool, little moments in here that I guess you could call references. Let's start with one that's pretty darn obscure that I wanted to make sure I mentioned at the beginning because it's so weird. And it's a connection to me, which is probably why I like it so much. Kyle Carosa, who was one of the storyboard artists for the show, shared some of the storyboard art on his social media, and he was showing the storyboards for this episode, and it shows Dot in kind of front of that clock at some point during the song, and that clock is based upon a clock that you could purchase over at Target about 20 years ago. And why do I know that? Because I have that clock. And I thought it was a really cool clock, and I bought it, and it's in my bathroom right now. So there you go. I have a piece of Animaniacs merchandise, and I didn't even know it. It's a collectible, I tell you.
Put a picture of it somewhere. Put it on the Patreon.
I'll put it on Patreon first.
Okay, there we go.
Just become a patron, and you can see this clock before anyone else.
Oh my gosh!
It's amazing. That's worth a few bucks right there. Well, let's see. There's I guess we talked about the Price is Right. We talked about I guess one reference I thought was kind of, it was more of a musical reference. The quote unquote intern goes back to his trailer or whatever the place to steal scripts, and he's whistling a theme, and it's the theme to that's on Tetris, which I know is a totally other. It's not the Tetris theme, but it is the Tetris theme.
Yeah.
So he whistled it, and I thought,
well, which one? I mean, there's like different
it's the standard
songs.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with Tetris. I mean, before I discovered Disney Emoji Blitz, I was obsessed with Tetris.
It's definitely worth getting
Dr. Mario.
Tetris 99.
Yeah, got to get your Nintendo Switch then, because you got to play Tetris 99. My wife plays that.
Man, I still have my original Nintendo, and I still have Tetris for that, and that's all I need.
Okay.
Tetris
I'm
99.
old school all the way. I mean, I do have the Super Nintendo, so I'm that modernized. But
you can try to
about where it
beat
ends.
98 other people at the same time.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, you're playing live against other people.
Man. Now you got the competition element.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's definitely something that my wife she's huge into Tetris as well, and got addicted to that game.
Oh man, maybe I'll get my boyfriend to buy it, and then I go play it.
You hear that, Jim?
He's got game consoles. It's like I mean I don't know. I don't think he plays them very often, but he's got more than I do because I'm like I don't.
Get to work, Jim. You can do it. Okay. Well, anyway, let's. And I guess the only other real reference. I mean, they talked about Hello Nurse. Hello Nurse was mentioned by name, and they had a female.
But they called her like, oh yeah.
Female medical professional.
But then they got to be all sexist about it. It's like it's funny because females aren't smart enough to be medical professionals.
Hello, female medical professional. I don't understand why it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny because female not smart enough to be medical professional.
We'll talk about that in a moment because there's some stuff. What are some things that you guys, anything else that I missed or that you thought was funny or anything like that? Nathan, let's start with you.
I've been to Russia, and it doesn't look like this. Yes, I have. Did you not know this?
Our little baby sister, who's not a baby anymore, was adopted from Russia. So Nathan got to go to Krasnoyarsk
and
Siberia.
Moscow.
And Moscow, yes,
that's right.
So, so you can say that it's not like all muddy and
like, I mean it's cold. But
did the people look as horrific as they do?
No,
it's like this woman with giant teeth, like that are jutting out of her face. Like, oh boy, I did think like, one thing I thought like I don't think anyone's really going to care anything about it, but I mean, you can only make fun of certain accents and especially certain countries these days.
I guess Russia is one of them.
Russia, and like you can do it like an Irish accent. I better because otherwise I got to stop saying Scott O'Brien and John McClanahan. I'll be canceled.
Yeah,
but
Canada,
you can make fun of.
You can make fun of Canada. What are they going to do?
They're too nice. They're going to say, "Oh, stop it," and whatever, Canada.
Yeah.
Anyway,
silly accent.
But it made me think. Like, boy, you could not do this with any other country. Like, you could not make fun of Iraq or Iran or any other kind of Afghanistan or any. I'm trying to think of any other country.
We're not encouraging.
No, I'm not. I'm not condoning like the stuff that does or anything. Say like that should be acceptable too. I'm just like kind of noting like, it wasn't. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Some countries are more sensitive than others, I guess, or people are more sensitive about different countries.
And I think just culturally, what is still acceptable to make fun of, like, it's just how the world changes and everything. And I just think in a few years, will even this episode be seen as
I don't know.
Which it'll be interesting to see in 5 or 10 or maybe in just a year. I don't know. Because it even seemed harsher than even like Boris and Natasha, would be like on Rocky and Bullwinkle, because at least those two were smart, and they never even said Russia by name in that. It was I forget what country they were from, but they never said Russia in Rocky and Bullwinkle. They were always from. Let's see, they went to Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's been too many years since I've seen Rocky and Bullwinkle. But at any rate,
they're like the fact that they're all eating beets and things. I don't know. It just seems so mean.
It did seem a little mean, it wasn't even necessarily mean towards the government.
Like, those are fine when it's against Putin. Like, who cares? Putin's he's terrible. So, but they did have Russian
figures are,
those are up for.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, Hollywood celebrities and stuff they get made fun of, and Animaniacs all the time, and it's no big deal. But because I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily. But when you're doing a culture and the people, yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, and I think, they even acknowledge it in this episode. I mean, in the press conference at the end of the episode, they say, did we do a fair justification, a portrayal of their culture? No, but,
yeah.
So it was what it was.
They did have Russian words. There was a sign that said "Nishlishyet" or something, which meant
that's right,
don't
Nathan.
Listen.
It means don't listen, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe could it be quiet maybe on the set, or just
it would be like either like I'm not listening or just don't listen, but it's just a person like covering her ears.
Where was this sign located?
It's a giant sign when they first land in Russia, and they're like, well, it looks that, and then so there's a giant red sign, and I was like, what does that say? And it's Nislushiet.
That's
or
right.
something.
So there you go, wiki editors. There's
I don't know.
Something that
and I think it means don't listen, according to Google Translate.
Very good. I guess the main thing, the observations that I had from this episode were just little certain things like the song itself. The audio just pitches down. You guys notice how muffled it sounded when they started singing? Yes, no. It's just
I thought that Yakko sounded like, I don't know. Each time they sing, a lot of times I'm just like, oh, they're using different microphones now or something.
Yeah, the microphones, the sound quality of the singing sounded really muffled, almost to the point where I'm like, is this like over like a bad phone connection almost? Because they would have moments of dialogue at the same time during the song, where the moments of dialogue sounded crisp and clean, and then to go back to the song, and which was like, and I mean, not extreme, but that's what it sounded like in my brain. I'm like, clear. What did you guys think about the song? Did you like it? Or Kelly, what did you think?
Yeah, Kelly, what did you think?
I thought it was one of the better ones that we've seen so far.
It had elements of kind of the classic Animaniac stuff with kind of a message of be yourself and stuff like that. But
yeah, and it kind of reminded me of like What Are We and things like that, of trying to describe the Animaniacs and the Warners. It just wasn't as good as any of those.
No, and it really made me wish that, man, I wish Randy Rogel could have just written this song by himself, because it really seems like this was a song that was maybe written by the other three, and then they brought in Randy to help punch it up, or something.
They came in and messed it all up. I don't know.
There was too many cooks in the kitchen on this song. It just didn't really have the spark that I'm usually used to. So, part of that was I think for me, the audio quality of it was distracting. The orchestra was gone. Like, I was listening to the music closely, and it doesn't even sound like a full orchestra anymore.
We talked to Steve and Julie when they're talking about, they don't do that part,
they do it separately, and then they
guess, yeah, that's true.
Well, you're right, Nathan. You're right. They didn't do the orchestrations for the
actual
songs that they sing.
Yeah,
which is disappointing. Which is too bad, because it seems like this is a song that would have sounded just a little bit better to have it with an actual orchestra accompanying it. Instead, it sounded like synthesizer. Even the piano didn't sound like a real piano. I don't know. And I'm not even a music guy, so I don't even notice a lot of stuff. So
you don't even know what music guys are called.
I'm not a music guy. What do you call those people?
That's what they're called, right? Yeah, the music guys.
Yeah, I get some music guys.
I didn't go to school to be no music guy.
Hey, what's going on here? So anyway, the orchestra, it sounded just a little too synthetic for me. But one other little tiny nitpicky thing happened during the song when they say they mention about it being it's really just black and white or something like that. They mentioned black and white. Mm-hmm. And they turn black and white, and they look like kind of old-timey cartoon characters.
Like 1930s.
Right. But their noses weren't red. And I don't know how many times I see this on comics or fan art or whatever, where they like putting the Warners in black and white, and I'm like, but you gotta make their noses red, because that's the magic of the Warners. They have magic ability to make their noses red,
but they also have the magic ability to make their noses black or white too, as well.
Oh, That's not as cool.
But I'm saying if they turned their whole body black and white, including their nose.
Wow, they really wanted to emphasize black and white.
Yeah.
But really, I think the main issue I had with this first one is that, and again, I'm taking in my own baggage of what I've heard rumors of behind the scenes and everything like that. When they start going into this whole thing of the Russian version of Animaniacs, and they say, "Oh, you are, Ivan the Terrible. I will make funny joke to dismiss you, and I will, do this, and this is what we do on this show." Ha, ha,
we'll sing a song now
we'll sing a song, yeah, and it's like just kind of going through the motions, and then also just kind of doing the Hello Nurse thing. And why is this funny? Why is Hello Nurse funny? Or hello female medical professional. Why is that funny? And and a part of it is like, yeah, you're copying it, and you could say that that's the joke, but you kind of get this. I got the subtext that
we're better than that
the original show would do this stuff, and we're not. Was repetitive and boring and sexist and what have you, and so.
I didn't get that from it. But
again, that was just me, I think, bringing in my own.
Yeah, I got a little of that, especially. Yeah, but I tried to be like, no.
Yeah, I get just a little bit of it, but then it could go either way. So
exactly.
But I just wanted to mention that because I was just like, I don't know. But anyway, that was our first Russian one. Anyway, anything else to mention here about Anima-Nyet?
It's fun to have the reference to the states and capitals of
that's true.
The United States or whatever, the Russian ones. That was kind of fun to do a Russian version of it. Yeah. Short.
Georgia is Russian, so is Ukraine. Kosovo, Armenia, still have Lithuania. Crimean Peninsula is Russian all the way, and our global sphere of influence extends to USA.
Again, it's like even more. It's. I just wish I want a good song,
educational song. Yeah, something.
Give me a song that is like there's no like sarcastic thing about it, and this one is the closest one to doing that, I think. But it was really darn short.
Well, I think. There's another one coming in this season. So
we're taking baby steps. We're taking baby steps. That's okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the next segment. It's Pinky the Brain in Babysitter's Flub. And Babysitter's Flub was written by Kathleen Chen and Brian Polk, and it was directed by Scott O'Brien. Nathan, why don't you tell us what happens here in Babysitter's Flub?
Oh, so much. Okay. Brain has made a tractor polling device. What is that called?
I think that's what it's called.
Well, but he needs a special material that is only in a meteorite. So they go to a playground because he finds out it's going to land here. And he has to get it before NASA picks it up. And right as he grabs it, this little boy named Riley grabs it, and he eats it just right away. He eats it. So then he drops his hat as his mom takes him away. So they follow him into his preschool where they don't actually know which kid is Riley because there's a bunch of kids in there and they don't know, like, whatever. So Brain's going to go around, try to put hats on all the kids and find out which one is Riley. See whoever fits the hat. It's like a Cinderella story.
It's not this one. Its cranium is far too large. Perhaps an early sign of intelligence. You and I should speak later about joining forces.
And Pinky is going to try to find a way out of the building so that when they find him, they can kidnap him. And there you go. But while Brain's doing this, Pinky starts getting played with. They're both Brain and Pinky are getting like pulled. And think Toy Story, where Toy Story 3 is that the one? Yeah, it's basically Toy Story 3. The kids are not nice at playing with these toys. So Pinky starts singing, and that gets the kids even more interested, and even Riley is so interested. And suddenly there's this magenta hue around Pinky, and he's pulled towards Riley because Riley has the ability of a tractor beam or telekinesis kind of things going on with him because he ate this meteorite.
Pinky feels like falling down. Oh, please help me.
I must save Pinky before his spirit is completely broken. Although, no, I should probably rescue him.
Pinky's now on a chain like slave Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Hut Slayer Leia, please.
Oh, Slayer Leia.
Hut Slayer, yes.
Hut Slayer Leia.
This is our term
now. And he's still having to sing songs, but he's not enjoying it. Brain commandeers a vehicle from a doll and drives it up a ramp and rescues Pinky. Unfortunately, Riley is very upset about this and creates a telekinesis tornado.
Why must this child be so difficult? I'm simply trying to kidnap him.
Kidnap? Well, that's it! I think Ronnie's cranky because it's past his nap time!
So then they're now inside the tornado, and Pinky's like, Brain, you have to sing to Riley. And Brain's like, I can't sing. It's like, no, sing a really boring thing about something in science. So he sings about the Brownian motion.
Brownian motion, too small to see. The change in momentum equals 2mv. The uniform particles suspended in a gas. V is velocity and m is their mass.
It's working. I'm very bored.
And that puts everyone to sleep. So they can finally get the meteorite. But as they go to grab it, the teachers finally come in from their long lunch, see the mice, and they're like, oh, these must belong to the middle school next door. So they get taken over there. Another little girl with glasses grabs the meteorite. She ends up eating it, and then she's floating away in space with the whole class while Pinky and the Brain are about to get dissected for in high school or middle school.
Along with
Edwin.
Who's that? Edwin the mouse.
I put it in the notes because I was like, oh, this is not in the notes for some reason.
Yes, Edwin the mouse, who we saw him before in the dragon episode.
The dragon.
Yeah, he'll show up at least one more time too. So
there we go. So there's your little cameo of that guy. Well, anyway, there's you go. There's a few little quick references in it. Dr. Spock is not Dr. Spock from Star Trek, as
that's
some
what
people,
I thought it was.
Yeah, some people like notes. Nathan would think. But it's based upon Benjamin Spock, who's a real person, and he lived to be a ripe old man, like 94 or something like that. He was around for many years. One of his most famous books was Dr. Spock's Baby and Child Care. And I think it was reprinted just over and over and over from like the 50s on. So, teaching people how to deal with, I think it dealt with a lot of the psychology of babies and things like that. So there you go, Dr. Spock. And the Brownian motion, I had no idea what that was all about, but it's the random motion of particles suspended in a medium. I'm assuming like when you have it in a petri dish or something like that, and all the little things float around. Is what I think. It's the random motion of particles suspended in a liquid or a gas. So it's kind of how things moving around. So there you go. Very interesting.
Now I'm asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
They misspelled Brownian in the wiki. So, and I was like, Brownium? I'm like, is that what they're actually saying? And I'm like, watching with subtitles, and I'm like, no, they're saying Brownian. Like,
and I don't think that the element that he's looking for, that's not a real.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. Thing, I forgot what I was looking in the notes to see if
Quantium, isn't it?
Quantium.
What is it again? Quantium.
Love.
1, 2, 3.
Love.
Quantium.
The only substance capable of generating the necessary energy is the rarest element in the universe. Quantium. No, that's not it.
Oh, sorry, what did you say? Because I said love.
Quantium.
Okay, maybe just say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Quantium.
Oops, I missed it again, because I was saying 3.
Quantium.
At any rate, that's pretty much it for the references.
You forgot about the title.
Oh, yeah, the Babysitter's Flub is Babysitter's Club, which, of course, was a big book series, at least in the 90s. It probably started in the 80s.
Oh, it was before that.
Oh, well, it's still a very popular series today. I should know this as a librarian.
I haven't even watched the Netflix show yet. I keep meaning to.
Well, there is I don't know if the Netflix show is it Netflix show animated or is it?
No, it's live action.
Wow.
It's like the second time they've done a series. I never watched the original, but I used to read all the books. Claudia was my favorite. She read Nancy Drew books.
All the original books are now being adapted into graphic novels.
Yeah.
And they are very popular with the middle school crowd, and is a very, very, very popular series. So, Raina, I think her name's Raina Telgemeier. I'm probably completely mispronouncing her name, but she does the illustrations for a lot of them, and they're very popular. So
that's
still
cool
around.
that it's still it's lasted this long.
Yeah, I'm assuming they update
because I never even liked kids, and I never babysat, but I love the Babysitter's Club. The characters were great.
Looking based off a lot of the things, it doesn't seem like a lot of it necessarily has to do with babysitting, or more about just adolescents and boys and things like that.
It's a mix. I mean, the kids they babysit for were really interesting, and a lot of them had different. That's how I even learned about autism. They had a autistic savant that they babysat and could play the piano brilliantly, and I'd never even encountered that term before. It was the first time I ever learned about it, and of course now we hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
But way back when I was reading those books, I mean, it wasn't something that you ever heard of at all. So there was a lot of cutting edge social issues. I think maybe that looking back, people may not have realized it back then, but they addressed a lot of issues. So I guess you could say
that's probably why it still speaks, to kids today, because
and there's the first one I ever read was about a diabetic girl, and again I didn't know anybody who was diabetic. I was like, that sounds horrible, and of course now, I mean, my parents are diabetic, I'm pre-diabetic, everybody I know is diabetic now. And it's like but it was so cool, I'm sure, for kids who did have diabetes, that back when the books first came out, and even now when they first read them, a character who's got some, medical condition that I've got, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's relatable in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's cool. Well,
yeah.
They also kind of mentioned Monsanto in this, which, that was a company. I think is it still around? Monsanto's not around anymore?
So I
thought it's still around. Monsanto.
I think they are.
Well, anyway, they let me just look it up real quick here.
We should look things up more often.
Okay, hang on here. Did you put, Nathan, that it's not a company anymore? Monsanto.
I didn't put that.
Is that in the wiki?
It says the defunct agricultural company.
See, I don't know.
But I didn't put that.
It says right here in the wiki, it says Monsanto was an American agrochemical company, and in 2018 it was acquired by Bayer. So there you go. The folks who make your Advil are.
This was dated. They probably did that after. Because they probably, had written this song before they even had the acquisition.
And, of course, there's a reference to the Wiggles, which I used to have to, speaking of babysitting, I used to babysit my godson, and he loved the Wiggles. I used to know the Wiggles so much because whenever I babysat him, it was the only way to get him to sit down. We put on the Wiggles DVD, and they mentioned the Groggles and in this one. So it's like, the Wiggles, but the YouTube version of it, which that is what kids watch today. Going to our friend's house, and they just put on YouTube, and it's that little kid who likes opening up stuff. I don't know his name, but he's a millionaire now.
What happened to Sesame Street?
It exists.
I know it does. I'm talking about why don't kids watch Sesame Street anymore?
You need an HBO subscriction, so it's...
No, it still comes on...
I know, it does. But then by then it's a week old. Oh.
When we used to have my little cousin over, we get in front of her and be like, Crystal, count 1. And she go, 1, like the count. And it was always so cute. And so we raised kids, my niece and nephews and all that. Those kids were raised on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Well, we have no one to blame but ourselves. We never had kids, so we can't. This is why Sesame Street isn't popular anymore.
It is popular.
None of us had kids, and that's why.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I had kids, it would be Sesame Street and a Muppet Show.
Exactly.
On repeat, daily.
Raise those kids
until they hate me and resent me and have to go to therapy. And it's like my mom made me
and they have to talk to Mr. Puppethead.
Mr. Puppethead.
Well, let's go back to the actual Pinky the Brain thing, I suppose. I think those were all the references that I could really find, I think. But what were some of the things that you folks liked about this Pinky the Brain one? Nathan, let's start with you.
Love. I liked love.
Quantium.
Love.
Quantium.
And I liked that Pinky was the one that was the genius to think of the idea to put Riley to sleep.
That's a good point. He usually doesn't come up with those ideas.
And Brain was insane to think that this doll was alive.
That's true. He did say, "Excuse me, ma'am," but he's done that before. I think, hasn't he?
Yeah, because he's crazy.
Yeah, I think it reminded me of the Pinky the Brain Christmas episode when they got into the Barbie car, whatever that was. Kelly, what about you?
Well, I liked it when they got in the Barbie car, but that made me think about Gremlins, and so there's some Spielberg for you there. And I thought the animation of the kids was a lot better than a lot of the human animation that we've seen.
Those kids freaked me out. I didn't like that animation and the fact that
I thought they looked fine.
I thought they looked better. Yeah, in comparison to the Buns episode or something. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But when they get into that weird giggly laugh, and their eyeballs, kind of their pupil.
That sounded like baloney.
Where's baloney?
I was about to say this episode could have used some baloney,
Oh man, they could have had him in the background or something.
That would have been great.
Oh man. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll tell you one thing I liked was the when he puts out the game plan of draws an X and an O, and he's kind of putting out where he's going to go and Pinky's going to go, and okay, Pinky, repeat the plan back to me, and instead Pinky says, okay, I kiss you here, and then you hug me here.
Yeah.
Got it.
Are you sure? Repeat it back to me.
Okay. I kiss you over here, then you hug me, and then...
And I was like, "Oh, that's cute," and also,
it is cute.
And the Animaniacs shippers out there, I'm sure, appreciated that.
This is perfect.
Speaking of, I had no idea there was such a thing of Animaniacs fan fiction, and apparently there is. I haven't read any of it. I don't know where you even find it, but I think one of these days we need to discuss this. And take a look at some of this.
See, I brought that up with the folks on Discord because there's this whole thing with Yakko and Milk and him being lactose intolerant, and it was so even in the Wizard World panel with the actual panel. If you watch the replay, people are just going, Yakko and Milk, Yakko, Milk, Yakko, Yakko, Yakko. And you're just kind of getting into all this stuff, and to the point where it was distracting and weird. And I asked the folks over on Discord, on our Discord channel, they're like, should we talk about this whole fan fiction thing? And
is that where that's from? Is Yakko?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, at least that story. And their consensus, or at least what they told me emphatically, was no. Let it die.
let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Yes, exactly. They were very Kylo about it. So,
okay.
But I don't know if you folks out there think that we should talk about it. Let us know, because I'm curious. I have not read it myself.
I'm very ignorant about it. I don't know.
I actually have very little interest in it, but if people really, really, really wanted to have us talk about it, then we'll talk about it at some point. But I'm a little concerned that I'll be a little bit tortured. But if you want us to, let us know. Animanicast at retrozap.com is our email. Anyway.
Well, I just wanted to say that all this talk about love and hugs and kisses like a week before Valentine's Day. So it's like,
oh, this is a perfect episode for Valentine's Day.
Better than next week's episode, which is all Halloween.
Yeah.
You never said what the other Spielberg reference is in this episode.
We haven't got to it yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember what it is. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get to the last segment then. Because now that you mentioned the last segment in Spielberg, I remember. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get to it. It's the Warner's press conference.
We now go live to the post-episode press conference with the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister.
Henry O. Henry from the Edgar Tribune. How about that ending? Did you guys see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's just Pinky being Pinky, right? Sure, they encountered a setback tonight with those toddlers, but you know what? They'll be back out there tomorrow doing the same thing they do every night, and you gotta respect that, man.
Next question.
And the Warner's press conference was written by Jess Lacker and Wellesley Wild and Ted Mulcairn, and it was directed by Adriel Garcia. And in this one right here, they just like at the end of one of those sports games, those things where people do stuff physically.
The sports conference.
Yeah. They have a little press conference at the end saying, how was the game? How was the episode? But that's not really, I think, what the majority of the jokes were. They had this running ticker throughout the bottom of it. So I think we should just kind of read off what it said, especially because it goes very, very slowly. I felt
it goes slow is the problem. Yeah.
I felt like they could have got it going faster. I think faster.
The problem is then they would have had to write more things. So
they would have had to do a whole other 30 minutes of writing, perhaps. I don't know, to come up with some funny stuff. But it says, I'll just read it real quick. Taco Cat is spelled the same forward and backwards. If you read this, scientists say you might be a dog that has learned how to read. Oh, yeah, it's true. Trolls online speculate reboot not as good as the original before it is aired. Meat sweats are now the number 3 cause of sweats in the U.S. This is probably my favorite line. Generic earbuds just as good as name brand ones, says deceitful mom. Basketball will now be played with volleyball, says babysitter who can't find basketball.
I like that one.
Wakko's Wish is now the highest grossing Animaniacs movie of 1999. This one is messed up. United States, Canada, Mexico, Peru.
I was getting upset typing it because then I was like, wait. Because I wrote Panama, and then I was like, wait, I gotta...
Yeah, even Nathan, who does not know the nations of the world, knows that it does not go United States, Canada, Mexico, Peru. Sports are an activity involving physical exertion and skill, which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. Help, I'm trapped in the news scroll factory, and I can't get out. And finally, the thing that Nathan was talking about, Steven Spielberg's home phone number is, and then it cuts off.
Oh, that's some tease right there. I didn't even notice the ticker. I guess that's what I get for watching it on my phone.
Yeah.
So that's how I missed it. I mean, seriously, because I was like, what other Spielberg reference?
But they kind of mentioned some. I mean, the stuff they say is kind of cute. One of the reporters. With his question, it sounded like the voice actor was kind of doing a Bill Cosby impression or something. It was like, let me tell you about this. It was like, Theo. Anyway, I'm a horrible impression of Bill Cosby, which, I don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about
nobody wants that anymore.
No, but I almost felt like, boy, that guy sounds a lot like Bill Cosby. But they just, I don't know really what to say other than, what did you guys think about it? Did you see anything that they said that you thought was funny? Kelly, what do you think?
I just was funny how they kept changing outfits. I think
it was just Yakko.
Or Yakko. Yakko did it.
No, I thought Dot changed. I know Wakko stayed in like his sports outfit.
I think Dot was always in the suit, and I think
I could have sworn
Yakko was always, unless like maybe when they first come out, but.
Okay, well, Yakko definitely changed several times.
Yeah,
and
I wrote down everything that he
crazier
changed
and crazier.
Yeah.
Right, so what did Yakko turn into here?
Well, he starts off as a basketball player, then he's like a reporter, then he's a greaser, then he's like a fast food like worker in the back. I don't know what those people are called. Then he's in a robe and curlers, and then he's a cowboy, a pirate, and then finally a magician.
I was kind of, when I was watching that at first, I was going, why is he like, am I missing a joke? But no, I guess he's just random.
Yeah.
They do mention possibly some plot points of what could happen
season 2.
Next season. Yeah. They say that in one episode they drink too much coffee, which I could see them doing that in an episode. They ruin a Sweet 16, which again I could see them doing, especially remember that MTV show My Super Sweet 16 or something like that. We have that super spoiled 16-year-old, and I could see them doing something like that, ruining a Sweet 16 party. An Oliver Twist parody, and Dot sings a song of some sort, which
out, and then they cut her off before she can say.
Which, try to stop the spoilers. I will say one thing that I kind of disagreed with was that on the ticker again, the writers are very you could tell the writers are so concerned about internet fans, and they call them trolls in this one. They say the trolls. What do they say about the
trolls online speculate reboot not as good as the original before it is aired?
Yeah, I mean, is that really trolling to say the show? I don't think the show is, because speculating. You're saying I don't think, right? I don't think this show will be as good as the original. Does saying that make me a troll? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of like any show you ever reboot, it's not going to be as good as the original if you watch the original. But
trolls were basically people who go into comment sections and say things purposefully inflammatory anyways. That's not really, I mean, nothing is ever as good as the original.
No.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The original's not as good as the original. It's just you're nostalgic for it.
Again, when you watch it again. And
I say pretty much, because Empire Strikes Back is clearly superior to A New Hope.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Godfather 2 may be better than Godfather 1. I don't know. They're both
but it's
movies.
so rare, and reboots and sequels and all that. I mean, it's hard to capture that lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah. But I just thought that was kind of a thing. I don't like saying that someone is a troll just because they speculate that something's going to be not as good. If they're say outright, no, I'm not speculating. Like, I know it's going to suck or something like that. Then,
well, and if you went in the comment sections and said, "Oh, Animaniacs sucks,"
but I just feel that again, I just wish that the writers would not. I wish that this first season didn't care so much about itself being a reboot. I wish that they
the trolls will say it's in the theme song.
In the theme song. Every time I have to listen about the trolls or we're gonna have haters.
So passé.
Yeah, they really are. Or we are so passé, or I don't know.
But the Warners did metaphor first, so
yeah, it's very true. Right. Sure. Anyway, but I just feel like, gosh, I just wish they just were funny. Just forget about, who cares if people like or don't like this show? Why even talk about it? It's the wrong thing to be bringing up. Just prove yourself by being funny and not trying to negate the feelings of those who may have had hesitations about the reboot to begin with. I don't know. That's just me. I've gone on not about that way too long. But anyway, any last things you guys want to say about this last press conference, or anything about anything in general?
There are lots of news reporters. I like the one that didn't ask a question. It was just complimenting the.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it was something. Let's go ahead and get to the water tower rating. Well, what do you guys think out of 5 water towers? How many would you give this episode of Animaniacs? Nathan, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's about as good as that first episode. And I like the news scroll at the end. I thought that was fun. Gave me something to... included? Yeah. It's fine. There's 2 Steven Spielberg references for Kelly, so there you go.
Yeah, all right. Kelly, what do you think?
I think I'm gonna go 4, because there wasn't anything that grossed me out. There wasn't anything that ticked me off. I'm just being kind of funny. I thought, well, I was going to say 2, but it's actually all 3 segments. I thought they were all pretty strong. I like Pinky and the Brain the best, of course. It, as usual, had the best lines and writing. I mean, we've already talked about some of the great lines from it. And, but I also thought the Warner segment was actually stronger than almost any of the ones that we've seen so far. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but I just thought it was different and kind of fun, and a lot of the animation was interesting. So,
all right. Well, I will give it a 2.5. Even though I did see some stuff I thought was cute. I don't know. I watched this episode three. I'll say 3.5 times. For this episode, trying to find the stuff I really liked, and I couldn't really find that much stuff I really liked. But again, I wasn't necessarily offended like some of the other stuff I've seen this season, so it was okay. 2.5. Mm-hmm. Well, let's go ahead and get to some contact information. Nathan, where can people get in contact with you online?
Hey, Joey, I'm on Twitter, Django FT. That's me.
Okay, and Kelly, what about you?
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Whee! Oh, isn't this fun, Brain?
We indeed